Advanced medical technology can perform miracles, but it cannot reverse the cellular destruction caused by amatoxins once it reaches a certain threshold. When someone arrives at the hospital in fulminant hepatic failure from death cap poisoning, the medical team faces a brutal reality. The damaged liver cannot regenerate fast enough to sustain life. At that point, survival depends on obtaining a donor liver and successfully transplanting it before the patient dies. This isn't a medical safety net, it's a desperate last chance that many patients don't survive long enough to receive. The criteria for transplant listing in amatoxin poisoning cases are grimly specific. Physicians look for signs of fulminant hepatic failure, encephalopathy indicating the dying liver can no longer clear toxins from the blood, coagulopathy showing the liver's protein synthesis function has collapsed, and rapidly deteriorating laboratory values indicating imminent organ failure. Meeting these criteria means you're sick enough to qualify for a transplant, but it also means you might be too sick to survive the wait for an organ or the surgery itself. Success rates for emergency liver transplantation in mushroom poisoning cases vary depending on how quickly the transplant occurs and the patient's overall health status going into surgery. Even successful transplants come with profound consequences. The financial devastation is immediate and ongoing. Intensive care unit stays before transplant. The surgical procedure itself and post-transplant care easily exceed $500,000. Then there's lifetime immunosuppression medication to prevent organ rejection, with costs running thousands of dollars monthly and side effects including increased infection risk and cancer susceptibility. Medical ethics questions around organ allocation for mushroom poisoning cases create uncomfortable discussions. Should voluntary risk-taking, choosing to forage wild mushrooms, affect transplant priority compared to patients with liver disease from genetic conditions or unavoidable illness? These debates happen quietly in transplant committees, weighing scarcity of donor organs against principles of medical neutrality and non-judgment. The answer most transplant centers arrive at is that medical need determines priority regardless of how someone ended up needing a liver, but the ethical tension remains. Survivor stories reveal that receiving a transplant doesn't mean returning to normal life. The psychological aftermath includes PTSD from the near-death experience, vivid memories of ICU delirium and organ failure, and survivors' guilt particularly acute in cases where someone else died waiting for a liver. There's guilt over wasting a donated organ on what feels like a preventable tragedy. And there's the permanent adjustment to life with a transplanted organ, constant medical monitoring, medication side effects, dietary restrictions, and reduced life expectancy compared to the general population. The prevention message here needs to be unambiguous. Advanced medical care is not a safety net for mushroom foraging. Many patients die before transplants become available. Others die during or after surgery. Survivors face permanent disability and shortened lifespans. The medical miracle of liver transplantation exists to save lives, but relying on it as backup for risky foraging decisions is deadly magical thinking.